Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we are building Hotel de Vigan. So this is a heritage hotel inspired by the traditional houses in the heritage town of Vigan, which is located in the northern part of the Philippines. And it is a very famous town known for its well-preserved historical architecture, and it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So whenever Filipinos talk about traditional houses, this is probably the town that comes to mind as having one of the biggest collection of traditional heritage houses. And this build in particular was inspired by the typical all brick house that you can find in Vigan, and as is typical with a lot of houses from that place, a lot of them have been converted into family-run businesses. So there's cafes and restaurants, and there's also hotels as well. So this is a fully functional hotel. I did build this for the Adventure Awaits pack. I actually finished building this before Adventure Awaits came out, or I was close to finishing this before Adventure Awaits came out. And I wanted to incorporate some of the new gameplay from the new pack. I will say that you don't actually need Adventure Awaits for your Sims to visit this place and stay here as a hotel, because they can just sleep in the guest bedrooms. But with Adventure Awaits, it does have the gameplay of allowing you to set up the custom venue so that Sims will do certain tasks at a certain time and NPCs will show up at a certain time for the most part. Because I did try to add a little kind of like pottery workshop on the ground floor of this place, and I was hoping for a pottery instructor to show up and kind of like teach the Sims, because with businesses and hobbies, which is the previous pack that came out, there's like this little pottery instructor area thing. It's like in build by mode, but yeah, there's like an area where they can like teach Sims, and I put that on like the pottery workshop on the ground floor, hoping that the pottery instructor would show up and the Sims would like, attend classes and stuff. It didn't work, unfortunately. I did set up the pottery making as an activity for the Sims, and they did kind of like interact with the items like the pottery wheel and the pottery kiln, but there wasn't really any logic to what they were doing. They were just interacting with like the different items, like whatever. But at least they did something. Also on the ground floor there is a little bar/restaurant area, so I would imagine that that would be where the guests would go to have breakfast or dinner, and let's just say that that's where they would go to try like traditional Filipino food. You can't unfortunately set like custom menus for these kinds of custom venues, unfortunately, so that's that. However, I will say that Vigan does have a tradition of making pottery, so I felt like the addition of having a pottery workshop on the ground floor actually made a lot of sense. So I was really excited to incorporate that. So yeah, this build ended up having 3 guest bedrooms. All of the guest bedrooms have an ensuite, and all of them can accommodate 2 Sims. So you can have a lot of Sims coming here and staying over, and if you want to have kind of like that gameplay experience of having the Sims do certain activities at certain times, you can set it up with the Adventure Awaits gameplay, but you don't have to. You can just set this up as a regular community lot, and the Sims should be able to just interact with the items just fine. So I was really excited to do this build because once again, I am using the old Manila set, which is the CC that I'm currently working on, inspired by traditional Filipino architecture. Currently, there are 4 sets that are out, and those 4 sets cover most of the exterior and some parts of the interior. And I'm really happy to announce that Part 5 is now underway, and I have actually started posting previews on it on my Twitter and on my Instagram page. So if you guys are curious, just go ahead and check those out. to know what is in store for the next part. I'm really excited because I cannot wait to use all of the new items, and also I just can't wait to finish the whole set itself because I'm excited to move on to doing something different because yeah, as much as I've enjoyed the process, I think I'd like to try out a different style, maybe do like a more modern contemporary set, but that's still a ways to go because we still have a couple more parts to go until the old Manila set finally finishes. But yeah, I'm in no rush to finish it because I've been really enjoying the process so far, so yeah. Anyway, Vigan has a very interesting architectural history actually because it does have some houses that are unique to it, and this is an example of that house actually. This is called an all brick house, which is actually a variation of the more typical bahay na bato prototype, which is the half wood, half stone house that you would see all throughout the Philippines. Well, it's more of a wooden house with a stone enclosure for the ground floor. I think that's a better way to describe it. It's not really half wood, half stone because the structural parts of the house is wood, but the stone is just there as a curtain wall. It's not really a load-bearing part of the ground floor. But in Vigan, they did take the style a bit further by making it into an all brick prototype. So if you guys are interested to read more about it, there is a document published by UNESCO on their website. You can download it. It's the homeowner's guide for homeowners for vegan houses. So I think the style itself is very distinct, and I think it's what gives Vigan a little bit more of a European ambience compared to other cities in the Philippines where the wooden parts of the house are more visible on the exterior. But as you can see for this house, it's really all brick, or in this case, it's really all stucco and plaster. So yeah, it's really interesting, and I really love the aesthetic of Vigan because of like the whitewashed exteriors, and oftentimes you can see a little bit of the brick masonry coming through in like the whitewash, and it looks so beautiful and rustic, and like I said, it gives it more of that Mediterranean ambiance. And yeah, also another notable feature just based off of my observation doing research for this build is that in Vigan they do tend to like these oversized decorations, or like I would say plaster works on the exterior. So you can see that there are huge pilasters on the exterior. I don't know why this is the case actually, but I thought that was very interesting because I did notice that in Manila houses, they don't really have a lot of like pilasters on the outside. It's usually just on the main entrance. On either side of the main door, there's like some sort of classical detail, but that's it. But in Vigan, it's like in the whole exterior, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think it's because Manila is just so dense that there really isn't much room for decoration on the outside. Whereas in Vigan, you know, it's a provincial town. It's a northern town. So I think they have a little bit more room to add that decoration. Like one unmistakable detail is of course the Capiz windows, which as you guys can see, it's those sliding windows that have really small little translucent panes, and those panes are actually made out of a translucent shell. I think it's a mother of pearl if I'm not mistaken, but locally it's called a Capiz shell, and they are pretty iconic to Filipino architecture. You can see them in different styles of houses, from, you know, traditional wooden houses, bamboo houses, and even kind of like more modern concrete houses. Those windows are really, a staple feature of Filipino houses, if I do say so myself. Another thing that I observed with vegan houses is that the interiors tend to be pretty simple. Like I said, a lot of like whitewashed. I thought it was very interesting if you look at the interiors of a lot of these houses. Also, there's really not a lot of resources for like more houses because I really wanted to see more of like the private homes. But unfortunately, most of the available, documents online are on like the more famous houses that have been converted into museums and to businesses. But I would like to see how people live in these houses because unfortunately I just wasn't able to see them in detail. You can see a little bit of it in the UNESCO document, but honestly that document had very poor quality images, so I'm like, okay, I don't really know what I'm working with here. But yeah, I noticed that the interiors tend to be very whitewashed and also very spacious. That's one thing about vegan houses, is that they're quite huge actually. Really, really huge. Sometimes even covering an entire block just from a single house, which is quite interesting. So yeah, if you guys are interested to learn more, there's a lot of videos from people traveling to there. I haven't been there myself. The farthest north I've gone is like the neighboring province of La Union. We could have gone to Vigan if we really wanted to, but it was more of a beach vacation, so wasn't really able to go all the way up north to where Vigan is. But I'd love to go there and explore at some point because I think it's pretty beautiful. Also, the streets are cobblestone, which is pretty awesome as well. Pretty romantic, and once again, it has that more Mediterranean vibe with like, the cobblestone streets and the courtyards with the fountains and the tiled roofs, and also kind of like the whitewashed exteriors. I think it's really, really beautiful. There are some sections where you can see a little bit of the brick showing through, so I did incorporate that in the interior where it looks like maybe the plaster is peeling off and you can see a little bit of the brick peeling through, which I thought was pretty cool as well. So yeah, I'd like to know what you guys have been up to recently. It's been a very busy past couple of weeks for me. I did plan on uploading this much sooner because, like I said, I mostly finished this build like before Adventure Awaits even came out. This is one of the builds that I pre-recorded for the new pack, but this past couple of weeks has just been very busy for me. Obviously, we are pretty much scrambling to meet our goals for the end of the year. And I also went out with a couple of my high school friends. We haven't seen each other in like 2 years. And one of them is also an architect, a fun fact. And one of them is leaving the country to work overseas. So we ate at a fancy restaurant. And I want to know how you guys feel about this, because this really didn't bother me when it was happening, but I think it really annoyed my friends. But as we were eating at the fancy restaurant, like, we were almost done. We were like maybe 95% done because like there was nothing on my plate at that point. Like, I'm finished, but or maybe there's a little bit. But we were taking our time because we haven't seen each other for like 2 years. But I'm pretty sure my friend, like one of my friends, still had something on her plate. And somebody, I think it was the manager actually, they started cleaning up our plates even before we like properly finished. And I want to know how you guys feel about this, because it really annoyed my friends. And it didn't really bother me when it was happening. I don't know, I was getting like mixed signals because at that point I was also like asking for the bill, because I was like, you know what, I think I'm done. Let's go ahead and ask for the bill anyway. But yeah, my friends were like really annoyed when it happened. So yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think. Was he giving us like mixed signals of like, you have to leave right now? One of my friends did mention that maybe they needed the plates, but it was a fancy restaurant and there was maybe like 2 or 3 tables there that had people. So it really wasn't a packed day for them to be needing extra plates or something like that. So I don't know, it was just really weird. I just wanted to share that with you guys because I haven't really been going out much recently, because first of all, it's very expensive to eat out. And second of all, I don't really have much of a social life now because most of my friends also have full-time jobs and it's really hard to coordinate our schedules. I remember planning like our New Year get-together earlier this year, like maybe 2 months in advance. Like we have to be there because we planned it 2 months in advance. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. I don't know if you guys can relate to the whole adulting thing, but that's my life right now. I miss the days when we were just call each other and that was it pretty much. Like we could be there in an instant basically. I would give you guys like a more of a work update, but really it's been like pretty uneventful apart from the whole scrambling to meet our yearly deadlines. And honestly, we're not even talking anymore. Like the different departments aren't really talking that much anymore because we're like so busy. And yeah, I think we pretty much ironed it all out in the extensive meetings that we had earlier this month. I think I had like 3 consecutive like meetings where we had to like discuss our strategies and stuff like that. All of the new stuff that we had to do. So right now it's just a matter of like getting things done. And yeah, it's not fun, but the holiday season is coming soon, so that's something to look forward to. Oh, that's the item that is supposed to have like a pottery instructor or something. I don't know. I thought it would spawn like an NPC, but it doesn't. You can, however, assign like a pottery instructor if you set this up as a custom venue. Just please keep that in mind. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. Make sure you give them a specific time when they show up, but sometimes they don't show up. So yeah, I think they're gonna need to fix that. So anyway. Oh, and I forgot to mention, but I did also like move this to a different lot. So I did ended up placing this in Tomarang, which is very fitting since this is a Filipino house and Tomarang is a Southeast Asian inspired world. And I ended up putting it in a very small lot. The house just barely fit in it. It's a 20 by 20 lot and there's really not much landscaping, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this build. And yeah, if you have any suggestions for future builds, please feel free to let me know. And also please stay tuned for the upcoming Old Manila set. It's gonna be awesome. So I just want to say thank you once again for joining me in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the little history lesson that I like to include in these videos, especially the ones that involve like Filipino history, because it's something that I'm really passionate about. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking through to the end. And that is going to be it for this build. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.